Vault-Tec built 122 underground bunkers to save humanity from nuclear war. They also designed most of those bunkers to kill the people inside them. This is the complete history of the most evil company in fiction, and I need you to understand just how early the evil started. Vault-Tec's earliest documented activity was all the way back in 2031, when they acquired and rebranded a local college in Morgantown, West Virginia into Vault-Tec University. A defense corporation's first move was buying a university, but not to educate people, but instead to build a pipeline of loyal engineers, scientists, and administrators who would spend their careers building vaults and asking no uncomfortable questions about what those vaults were actually for. Now, by the time Vault-Tec was done, it was the largest company in America, valued at an estimated $1 trillion, with stakes in countless industries. They got there through a government contract, a mascot, and a level of corruption that historians later describe as among the worst mismanagement of any corporate entity in American history. All of it concealed behind an extraordinarily effective propaganda campaign featuring the Vault Boy, the smiling thumbs-up mascot that became the face of pre-war America's sense of safety. Just look at the smart fucker, ugly ass. In the 2050s, as the resource wars escalated and the Euro-Middle Eastern War left Europe a wasteland, the US government launched Project Safehouse, a national defense initiative to build underground shelters capable of protecting the civilian population from nuclear war. Vault-Tec won the contract, no surprise there, and this is where everything starts going wrong in a way nobody outside Vault-Tec could see. The government financed the project and commissioned 122 vaults nationwide. The new amended Espionage Act, passed in 2056, made it illegal to publish any material about Vault-Tec's business practices. The official reasoning for this was because Chinese and Russian spies might be watching. In reality, it just meant that everything Vault-Tec did was now legally shielded from public scrutiny. A corporation building survival bunkers for the entire country, protected by law from any journalistic investigation, giving essentially unchecked authority over who lived and who didn't in the event of nuclear war. What could possibly go wrong with that? The majority of vaults were completed by 2063, and on the surface, literally, they looked exactly like what they were supposed to be. Self-sustaining underground cities built to last centuries. Vault-Tec's propaganda made them look like the pinnacle of American ingenuity and intelligence. But the propaganda didn't mention what work was going on inside. Here's where Vault-Tec stops being a corrupt construction company and starts being something much worse. I'm talking Benjamin Netanyahu type of evil. The Societal Preservation Program was the official name for Vault-Tec's Human Experimentation Initiative. The name was a polite way of masking what it actually was: a series of cruel social experiments designed to study human behavior under extreme conditions, isolation, deprivation, and a manufactured crisis. And they didn't run these experiments on random people, but instead they designed specific vaults around specific experiments before the bombs ever fell. The residents walking into those vaults had no idea they were walking into a laboratory. Vault 92 was where a bunch of musicians were subjected to noise experiments designed to trigger psychotic breaks. Vault 29, on the other hand, was filled with only children, and said children were raised by a supercomputer named Zax, who had complete control over their upbringing, their education, and their understanding of the outside world. And then Vault 87, where the residents got forced exposure to a concentrated form of the forced evolutionary virus, locked in an airtight chamber and turned into super mutants against their will. Beginning in 2078, the super mutants that emerged broke free almost immediately and spent the next 200 years kidnapping humans off of the streets to drag back to those same chambers. Vault-Tec built a self-perpetuating horror machine that ran itself for 2 centuries without anyone pressing a single button or overseeing anything. Get it? Oversee. Sorry, I'm gonna shut the fuck up now. If this has been an interesting watch so far, subscribe, because if you don't, I don't know, just do. But please? Here's a man who doesn't get talked about enough though. Bud Askins, the senior junior vice president at Vault-Tec, believed that time was the ultimate weapon. His philosophy was simple: if Vault-Tec could outlast every competitor, government, and every faction that might challenge them, they would win. Not just capitalism, but time itself. His plan was called Bud's Buds. And if any of this is already sounding familiar, you are right, because this is right from the Amazon TV show. He designed 3 interconnected vaults, Vaults 31, 32, and 33, as the pinnacle of his human resources research. Vault 31 would house cryogenically frozen Vault-Tec executives. Ball 32 and 33, on the other hand, would be controlled breeding populations, genetically curated to produce ideal candidates to pair with the executives when they thawed out of their ice. The goal was to engineer a future leadership class, Vault-Tek's hand-picked rulers of post-apocalyptic civilization. I mean, just sit and think about that for a moment. The apocalypse hadn't even happened yet, the bombs hadn't even dropped, and a senior executive of Vault-Tec was already designing a eugenics program to produce perfectly obedient future employees for a company that will outlive every government on Earth. To make sure Bod's buds could run indefinitely, Bod had his own brain removed and placed into a rudimentary robot. His brain was essentially on a Roomba to serve as Vault 31's overseer for as long as necessary. He removed his own brain and put it in a robot so he could manage a corporate training program from beyond death. The dedication to the brand is honestly staggering. Honestly, this is something I see someone like Jeff Bezos doing. I don't know, I'm gonna shut the fuck up now. My opinion doesn't matter. Sorry. Now we get to the part the Amazon show revealed and nobody has fully processed. Or should I say, refused to accept really. A large part of the Fallout fanbase refused to see the Amazon show as canon, and honestly, that's fine by me. So take this next part with a grain of super mutant salt. Before the bombs dropped, Vault-Tec executive Barb Howard convened a secret meeting. In attendance were representatives from Vault-Tec, RobCo, West-Tek, Big MT, and REPCONN. The topic at hand was what happens if the nuclear war they've been building vaults for never actually came. Barb's answer was chilling. The nuclear event would be a tragedy, but also an opportunity, perhaps the greatest opportunity in history, because when we are the only ones left, there will be no one to fight. A true monopoly, a billionaire's wet dream indeed. She then invited every corporation in that room to take control of different vaults, run their own experiments, build their own version of an ideal post-war society, compete underground to produce the best blueprint for humanity's future. She turned the apocalypse into a business pitch. Now, whether Vault-Tec actually dropped the bombs themselves is still deliberately left ambiguous. Robert House, one of the smartest characters in the franchise, actually believes Vault-Tec, the corporation, didn't press the button. Though he doesn't rule out individual Vault-Tec employees acting alone. So we don't know who fired first. We just know that the company building America's survival infrastructure was sitting in a boardroom debating whether to start the nuclear war they'd been paid to protect people from. That's the complete history of Vault-Tec before the bombs fell. A company that started as a university acquisition in 2031, won a government contract in 2054, built 122 bunkers while systematically designing most of them to destroy their occupants, created a eugenics program to outlive the apocalypse, and ended with executives in a room deciding whether to cause the very disaster they'd spent 46 years preparing for. If you're hearing this, you have reached the end of a magnificent video by Vaughn YouTube. I am going to shut the fuck up now and beg you to please subscribe. Ignore the voice in the background, but the noise or whatever. Thank you if you made it this far. I genuinely really appreciate it. A lot of people do not watch my videos to the end because, well, they're pretty shitty and I'm a small YouTuber. But I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe and like the video because it helps a lot. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.